We talked about this morning a lot about the modern retailer challenges and the challenges you guys face. So from market research, from extensive collaboration with all of our clients, and from implementations of the projects in the past, we kind of know what the problems you're facing and we need to figure out how to help you solve those challenges. I'm going to name a couple of those problems and they're not in the order of importance. Some challenges might be more important for some clients and some for others, but I think you're going to recognize yourself in most of these. First one being data challenges. The biggest problem is no single point of truth, multiple touch points, customers coming to you from different sources. How do you know who is really coming to you? Volume and storage, one of the biggest problems, processing capabilities, lack of understanding the data, and then last but not least that we talked about this morning, securing the data. Changing consumer behavior. Obviously, not only Corona changed everything upside down, the customer shopping journey is getting more and more complex. It used to be a straight line and now it's a squiggly line with turns and twists and you don't know where the consumers are coming from. They're hyper-connected and a little bit too informed. They have evolving expectations and loyalty or no loyalty, should I say so. Workforce, I think we all face these issues, not just in retail, but everywhere. Employee retention, employee satisfaction, and then lean HR operations. Systems, amount of systems, fragmented system, integration issues for dealing with multiple partners, managing costs, and then inconsistent data that goes kind of with the data challenges. And then last but definitely not least, increasing costs. Supply chain issues, I think we've all faced those challenges during the Corona time. Inventory management challenges, how do we make sure that we're in stock and in the right position on our inventories? Staff management, going with the employee retention, customer acquisition costs is becoming more and more expensive to get new customers. Pricing and promotions, how do you stay up to date with the pricing challenges and competing with the likes of Zalando and About You that are constantly running promotions, going hand in hand with the end of season markdowns. So with all of that being said, in the past, as I said this morning, having a solid ERP system in place was enough to get you places. Now it's a foundation that you need to have, but it's not enough. In this puzzle, you can see the oversimplification of the ERP processes that most of you already know and have. But how can we really get you the step further and get you competitive advantage over the market? So what we're going to talk about today is from planning and merchandising scope, advanced business analytics, demand forecasting, replenishment and inventory transfers backed by machine learning, from marketing and sales operations, customer profiling, segmentation, marketing automation, loyalty programs and targeting. How do you make sure that you're getting the right customer at the right time? And then from fulfill, service, and financials, we have sales pipelines for B2B, customer service, and field service. Obviously, none of this would really work if you don't have a customer-facing experience that can really show what you're doing on the back end to your end consumer. So that's why we have Patrick here with us to talk about the consumer shopping journey, and he'll show us what they can do on the consumer-facing side. So this puzzle can cover hundreds and hundreds of processes and use cases. We're going to focus on two today. First one being the modern supply chain planning, and the second one, as I said, with Andrej and Patrick, the customer journey. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Milan to take you through modern supply chain planning.
Thanks, Marija. Thanks a lot. Hi, everyone. It's really good to be here, to finally meet you, to see all the work and the effort that Rico and the team did, yeah, hopefully these few slides also will bring additional value from my side. How did we begin to engage into this use case? From various sides. So a lot of customers were actually asking us, how could we support them in more agile handling of a supply chain? And on the other hand side, when Marija joined us, we sat on a first workshop, and what I asked her to help us with is, I asked her, let's paint a picture of how the simplified flow of goods looks like in the fashion industry. And then we did that. We mapped a process which is obviously more familiar to you than to me, right? But then after that, what I ask her is, imagine you have a magic stick, and let's pinpoint, the points in this process where you could use some more support, some more help. And now this is the result. I'm going to run over the first slide because I think you know it much better, but then we're going to focus on the other slides, right? So let's say that this oversimplified flow of goods, starts with, of course, financial pre-season planning, right? Where you guys are trying to, let's say from a CFO perspective, estimate the whole year or the following 12 months, right, of the results and what you're trying to achieve on the market. After that, of course, is the assortment optimization in terms of, dividing categories on how will you try to achieve those goals. Then inside of those assortments, obviously someone in the company, is it a buyer or someone else, needs to do planning on a really SKU level, all right? So really, really detailed level. And we could pack this in some kind of a pre-arrival of goods part of the process, let's say. And then let's say, then again, oversimplified, when the goods come, what we have is the initial allocation use case. Obviously, across during the season, we have a lot of replenishments from either, again, from vendor to DC or from DC to stores. Then again, store replenishments, if a situation occurs. And let's say all ending down with some markdown as executions and with managing return policies. And then the question was, okay, so if this is like end-to-end process, on a high-level description, where could we deliver, the wording we like is intelligence as a service, right? So where could we deliver some intelligence as a service for you guys to help with all of these steps? And obviously there are many points here. Just to run through some of them, for example, if we're discussing, let's say, initial order, we could obviously utilize some machine learning results to try to understand what would be the best quantity to order per each vendor, per each category, etc., etc. Then when the goods arrive, obviously there's a question of how do we, do this initial allocation on whatever store level, brand level, SKU level, segment level, etc., etc. Right? Again, really a complex problem if you're trying to approach it only from Excel perspective. Then down the road, obviously, when the season is running on a weekly or maybe daily level, you have to answer the question like, when do you trigger some new order from vendor to DC, or when do you trigger a new order from a DC to store, or eventually do you need to replenish store to store if a store is not performing well as you assumed, right? Do you have a better fitting store for an item or for a brand? And ending up all with, of course, really complex decisions on markdown executions, right? How to stay aligned with what we did last year, and how to meanwhile again respond to what market is doing this year. It's obviously pretty complex flow of goods, right? And what we mapped down here is are the problems that we're solving. And now the question is, how do we do it? So if we leave this process over there, right, we have a solution that we're trying to implement with our customers in fashion industry to help you guys solve these issues, right? And obviously it all starts with high focus on data input. We have this ability in our hands to leave the data where it is, but integrate it to our platform. Either we're speaking about transactions which come from the market, or we speak about some third-party data. For example, historical weather data, forecast weather data, historical holiday seasons, forecast of a holiday incoming seasons, global positioning of cargo containers while they're in shipment, etc., etc. So when you move from statistics to machine learning, right, one of the key differences is integrating third-party data. Okay, and then obviously first step we do with this information is we try to forecast the demand. So not your financial plans. Your financial plans are your goals that you're trying to achieve, right? But we're trying to estimate the demand from a market, okay, which can be read only from a market itself. And here we're really utilizing like 10 plus different algorithms, which bid on a daily basis, and depending of is it an item, I don't know, seasonal item, new fashion item, one-off, slow mover, fast mover, or whatever. Obviously, a different forecast is going to be suitable. Then after those forecasts, which integrate seasonality in themselves, obviously, let's say out of the box. What we try to do is recommend the quantities for you guys to order, right? Is it an initial order? Is it a distribution? Is it a transfer between the stores? But we provide an end user with a recommended quantity to do some action, okay? Multi-location planning obviously means that we don't deal with only ordering goods to a central warehouse, but we're dealing with more complex situations, right? Calling multiple stores, multiple warehouses, or multiple countries. And now obviously a logical question comes into a place, and that is when I have a new season or whatever, any new set of the items, like how do I forecast them? Well, the obvious answer is it's a bit tricky. But we utilize similar items detections there, and we do it in two ways. We can approach this problem from dimensionality side, so just analyzing, long sleeves, short sleeves, colors, sizes, models, etc., and trying to figure out which is the most similar item to what we're forecasting now. Or we can approach this from a second way, and that is by image recognition, right? Trying to spot most similar items. And then we integrate all of this data and try to come up with a forecast for the new article or the new item, right? Then, as I said, expected deliveries are I would say, pretty funny piece of information today. So what we're trying to do also is to integrate with the global APIs on global shipment tracking. So if your goods are coming across the seas and you have a container ID, we're probably going to be able to integrate this information in actual lead time, and then trigger other decisions based on this actual lead time. Cargo optimization is just a module that helps you kind of optimize either truck or container, in order to minimize the transportation cost. Store transfers, as I said, same thing. So as the sales or the season keeps developing, we track the performance of all the items in all the stores and try to get you with a recommendation on whether to reshape the offerings that you have store by store. And everything, of course, ending up with a promotion planning information. Okay, so either we speak about analyzing deeply historical promotions or embedding future promotions into demand forecast, right? This is one crucial component that we try to make it part of the solution. And it all ends up with a one, maybe it's going to look like not important to you, but basically this is a crucial component for the success of a project itself, not a solution. Solution works, but for the project itself. And what does it mean, success of a project? It basically means that we are able to handle the change management within the company. So before using this solution, an average buyer was probably doing this job for 5 or 10 or 15 years, depends on how long he's or she's in this business. And now we're going to tell him that we have some solution which might recommend a quantity better than he or she is doing. Now, obviously, that's an issue, right? So how do we solve this issue? We solve it by giving them a simple, usually Power BI app in their hands, which actually interprets the result which we gave them, and that makes them feel confident into accepting this recommendation. So in this one dashboard, they can basically understand historical trends, forecasts, future 7 orders, all the logistical informations, a simulation of how is the stock going to look like if they place the orders according to our recommendations, etc., etc. And basically, having said all of that, in projects that are live already with us, it usually takes a couple of weeks, maybe to 2 months for the toughest use cases. But in the end, acceptance of the recommendation goes well over 90% in terms of how many items do people just accept and place an order, and how much of them do they revise, right? So this was just an overview of this process, of this modern supply chain approach from, let's say, solution or module perspective. And now we're going to do another round, just a quick one, from end user perspective. So how does it actually look like for a person, sitting at a I don't know, laptop and trying to do this job, okay? Because what we try to do here is, we didn't develop another software, so it's not another system to maintain. It doesn't have a management console, right? So we like to call it intelligence as a service. It's run ideally in Azure or on-prem, whatever, but we basically just integrate to 2 points. One is the Power BI app that I showed you, and the other one is direct overnight integration to BC or F&O. Right, to whatever requisition worksheet, transfer order, or something like that. But we just integrate, let's say, a little more intelligent information than if a user was to analyze them only hand by hand. So first step is, this use case here is, let's say, initial order allocation. I just took this example of this use case to make it quicker. And let's say it all starts in a Business Central with picking up a vendor and revising the recommended quantity for allocation. This recommended quantity for allocation came with a direct integration to BC, let's say overnight, okay, to simplify it. It was run by everything that I discussed on previous slides, right? So we run the similar items, algorithm detections, right? We analyzed all the forecasts. We took all the constraints in the calculations, like lead time, logistical information, weather forecast, etc. And we provided the recommendation how to allocate this initial order store by store, either on a brand level or an SKU level, right? And this is the information a person gets in, let's say, a requisition worksheet in Business Central. Then the next step, obviously, is if a person doesn't feel confident with what he or she is seeing in this system, right? They can open this simple Power BI app. I just took one screenshot here, and that is the insight into similar items. So a person can understand, which were the similar items that algorithm used in order to propose this allocation, right? How similar they are based on the KPI called the distance, and how does the historical sales and the forecast sales of those items, because we have the information for that, look like, okay? So this is the reason, and of course it's fully interactive, so you can select store by store, item by item, vendor by vendor, and analyze this information quite easily, right? And let's say after this detailed analysis, person now feels confident to confirm actually the quantities to allocate, and just executes the allocation. So triggers a button in a BC, so to say. And it basically all ends up with actually tracking the delivery, goods arriving, and then in the end, triggering a new procedure. Replenishment from DC, reordering from vendor, store-to-source transfers, or something like that. Each of those use cases has, let's say, a similar flow like this. And to wrap it all up, actually, I think on my last slide is basically, you probably don't see the colors, but those dark blue or black marked are the ones happening, let's say, in BC or F&O, and those pink marked are the ones happening in a self-service BI. And now just a couple of points, like why did we decide to this approach? So first of all, as I said, it's not another system to maintain, so it doesn't require a person to set up, I don't know, a service level or to choose an algorithm he's using or something like that. Okay. It's a direct overnight integration to ERP using, of course, APIs, right? These recommended quantities can be modified, of course. This is this L. What does it mean in machine learning? So learning, if you revise a recommended quantity, of course, algorithm is going to learn. And of course, inside of it, you have a direct link to this interpretation app. Now, if you're speaking about this BI app, as I said, we really see it as a key component for our project to succeed. Okay, because without it, it's really like you're trying to fight, machine versus human, and then it doesn't make sense. So we're trying to embed this into a process how it currently looks like, and then just change it a little bit, right? Not to change everything upside down. And as you saw it has all the historical information in there, right? So it basically gives confidence to a user to accept this information, So wrapping this all up, this is a similar approach that we can use to discuss any of those other processes and steps that you saw in this timeline, right? Success that we have for now is more or less amazing. I don't know if the bar was too low with some customers that we started or something else, but actually we found many points where you can easily calculate cost-benefit analysis and do some improvements. So that's it for now from my side. Andrej, heading over to you. Thanks, team.
Sorry. Thank you, Milan. Okay, so now we will add another missing piece of the puzzle, and we will be focusing on, let's say, customer-focusing processes, which mostly fall into the CRM category, and will also touch the customer-facing interfaces. Now, we don't have time to go into details of all of the processes, so just to paint you a picture, I've taken one of the most common scenarios that you are probably tackling every day, and we'll just try to go step by step through this process and figure out how BE-terna can help you with our solutions. So let's take the first step, and let's start with a scenario where a customer comes into your retail store. She's just looking at the items, tries something, likes what she sees, and buys an item. At that moment, the sales assistant suggests that Anna, which is our new customer, joins the loyalty program. Now, because loyalty program is free and Anna gets benefits, obviously she gives her consent, and at that moment we have a consent to start tracking the data. So what we actually do, we use our BE-terna loyalty module to create a loyalty profile, which will then serve us to track everything from benefits, loyalty points, process transactions, etc. At the same time, we also create a profile in the background in our CRM system or in our customer data platform system, and obviously those CRM or CDP platforms, and they're connected to your ERP and synced. Now that we have the data, we know that our customer Anna is in our database. We, at that moment, put Anna automatically in marketing processes, meaning that we have set up various different automatic processes that are triggered by events like their birthday. So the process, let's see, that we have here can wait for different inputs, check, for example, every day if one of your customers have a birthday, and obviously today is Anna's birthday, and she gets an email with a 20% discount on all items. Now, when Anna sees the email, she wants to take advantage of this discount, so she opens up the web page. Now, because of our loyalty program, loyalty module, which is connected to the website, we know that Anna is actually interacting with our website, because she actually can log in the website and check her benefits, points, etc. So we are now tracking all of the moves on the website. We are tracking what categories is she searching on, what item is she viewing, and so on. And we are taking this data and we are feeding this data in our BE-terna machine learning platform in the background. And this algorithm is now learning about Anna and trying to figure out what products will she actually buy, right? So let's say that Anna is actually searching through the website. She adds one dress to her cart, but then decides not to purchase the dress, okay? What we actually do, we again know that Anna has left this dress in her cart, and that triggers one of the processes that I mentioned before in marketing platform. In our case, we are using Dynamics 365 marketing platform. And again, we have a predefined process that sends a notification to Anna, hey, did you forget to buy the dress? And then what we actually do, we use this moment and try to suggest similar products based on the machine learning algorithm that we used before. And we try to figure out what is Anna's favorite, basically, category or products or stuff like that. So let's say that Anna is impressed with what we offered her, and she decides to go through with the purchase, right? So she returns back to the website, finishes the purchase, and again, this is data that we can then store in the background. This is a transaction that we then process in our loyalty module, and then we can use in machine learning for additional personalization. After that, of course, we then get another email confirming the order. You probably already have this implemented if you have a web store. But what we can actually use here again is a moment to give her or at least offer her additional benefits. So what we actually do, we offer additional loyalty points if Anna leaves a review. So again, She goes through the process. It looks a little bit different, but the logic is the same. We predefine some rules. We wait for the input. She makes a purchase. We send an email. But the main point is that we actually suggest, hey, if you leave a review of the product, you will get additional loyalty points. So not only do we get reviews on the website, but the point is that she is then tempted to use those loyalty points to create to make another purchase. So by doing this, we just kind of start this circle, and this is how we actually create a frequent buyer. Now let's just take a look at how we can actually cover this process, right? So in the first step, where we actually get her consent and get her data, first, as I mentioned, we use BE-terna loyalty module, which creates a loyalty profile and tracks every basically movement, everything that Anna is doing after that, and then adding points, calculating benefits and stuff like that. But most importantly, we also create a customer profile. And what we want and need for any additional steps like marketing and personalization and stuff like that, we need a clean database. So firstly, we are using machine learning for the duplication, which actually just scans the database, tries to find similarities between different profiles and matches them so you know that you have a clean database and your customers are not duplicated. And second, we are creating something called a golden record. Now this is a little bit different than the duplication. What we are actually doing, we are using data from multiple different data sources and combining them into one. And we'll just look at this a little bit later. Now, once we have this database clean and with all of the info from different systems like ERP and stuff in the same database, we obviously use this data in marketing automation tool. Now we can use Dynamics 365 marketing automation, as you saw previously on the screens, where you can define customer journeys, use triggers, use real-time events and stuff, or we can use any other marketing tool basically on the market to integrate with our CRM or customer data platforms to use that information in the marketing automation tool. Then, of course, the next step, if you remember, after we actually send something through various channels using automation tool, we need some kind of a customer-facing front-end interface, right? I'm talking about web shops, I'm talking about mobile apps, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. Our partner, Patrick, will tell you a little bit more about this. Then, once we have the data, we have the tools to notify the customer. We have the interface where she can interact, where we can collect the data. We can learn about the customer. Obviously, we, again, need some kind of algorithm. I mentioned before, we are using BE-terna machine learning algorithm for personalization. Now, this behavior modeling, as we are calling, actually tries to create a persona for Anna and then tries to figure out stuff like which is the product that she will actually buy, what are her behavioral patterns, and tries to find similar people in the database and make suggestions based on that. We can then predict additional stuff like churn prediction. So for example, if she's a frequent buyer and then we detect that the purchases or transactions are not so frequent, that something is wrong, and then you can offer additional, let's say, discounts or create some kind of action especially for her and stuff like that. So there are various models that we can use using this communication, and obviously we need a marketing tool to actually communicate this to our client. Then again, in the purchase step, we have, as I mentioned, web shop, and then at the end, again, marketing automation tool, and of course, loyalty module, a loyalty program that actually sums up everything and makes sure that the client gets these benefits at every purchase, and that she is basically driven to spend even more, to purchase even more and get obviously more benefits. Now, if we just take a look at three of these solutions, we don't have time to go into details for a specific solution. The first one being a golden record. So the idea here is that we track different channels, that we track different inputs and put everything into the same category. So when you are opening your CRM or a CDP platform, you are actually viewing one ERNA and you have all of the information from various systems in one place. So basically, just for example, we can get information from web shop, or for example, in-store purchase. That was a scenario where where sales assistant actually entered the data into the system. Then we can get data from mobile apps. We can get data from newsletter signups or from various different websites, or we can get data from your ERP systems or any other additional system that you might have implemented at the moment. And then we join everything together. So you get this complete profile picture of ERNA, and the end profile should then, for example, look something like this. Now what we have here on the screen, that's actually Microsoft Dynamics Customer Insights, which is a customer data platform provided by Microsoft. And the main focus, the main point is that you generate this clean customer database, and it is then directly integrated with Dynamics 365 marketing. It can do automatic segmentation, and you can use this immediately to start some marketing campaigns, targeted marketing, etc. Then the second solution, if I can call it that, is segmentation of known customers. Now you probably all know and use segmentation, and when I say segmentation, you probably think of those rules that we have in marketing tools or in our CRM tools, right? So let's take for example a customer which has these parameters. So we know how old she is, where does she live, what are her interests, the basic stuff, right? So if we would do segmentation manually, we would just think of some kind of rules that we put into our marketing tool when we say, okay, segment customers by age, or segment customers by revenue and stuff like that, and we would get expected segmentation. But if we are using machine learning for segmentation, what we actually can do, we can adapt the algorithm to the data that you have in your database. So each implementation is a little bit different, and we can find the segments that you actually didn't know existed in the database. So for example, in our case, we can see that we got a segment logo buyer, which means that we have a large number of buyers in our database, which are focused on purchasing brands where logo is clearly visible, right? So that's something that probably none of us would put into the manual marketing rules. And we have a lot of these examples. We get results that actually we never expected. And you can actually see how this algorithm, how this segmentation performs. We built this BI dashboard. When you can then segment, you can actually drill down all of the results. And this is then your kind of starting point where you can then plan targeted marketing campaigns based on the segments and based on the results that the algorithm is actually returning. And the third solution that I would like to present is how do we handle the customers that we actually don't know yet. I mentioned before that we can actually track what people are doing on your website. Now, in the first case, Anna was logged in through the loyalty module, and we knew that Anna was doing these actions. But we can also track customers which just randomly visit our website. So for example, in this case, a random customers open the websites. Let's say that we get the confirmation for the cookies, and we can track all of the actions. So what we can actually do, as the customer clicks through the categories, clicks through the products, we learn in real time, and based on the clicks, based on the actions on the website, we can then recommend products that he or she might be interested in. And let's say that in our case, we are actually successful. We kind of show the products that this person was interested in. We get the click, and that this person actually buys the product. Now, in that moment, when the transaction is processed, meaning that the customer needs to enter the name, the surname, and we get the data, we can see that this customer was actually ERNA, so we identify our customer. Obviously, if this was a new customer that was not in our database, if of course we get a consent, we can identify the customer, then we can propose a loyalty program or additional benefits and stuff like that. And this is basically the way that we kind of expand our customer database and try to turn every single customer into a frequent buyer, as we saw on the first screen. Now, to clarify all of those customer-facing interfaces that I was mentioning before, I would like to invite Patrick to say some words.
Thank you. So first of all, my time is already over, so I try to keep it brief. Sorry for that. And the second thing is collect all the data the guys mentioned, because the data will be the value that keeps your customer loyal in the future. And we will now go into some examples how you can leverage this on your e-commerce side of the business. So I know not all of you guys are directly involved into your e-commerce business, but that's also why I keep it brief. So I will go into search, product list, shopping chart, customer account, shop to look, and socials, and try to argument why it's interesting to keep these segmentations and use this on your website. So first of all, every one of you guys have a search box on your site. You can use this to really identify the customer and help to make them find the right products at the right time. So as the guys mentioned before, if you segment the customers the right way and they are logged in, you can do basically everything in this area of exploration on your website, because you know who he is, what kind of buyer he is, and so on and so on. And the longer the customer is with you guys, you can really leverage this, suggest, and try to anticipate what the customer wants to buy next. And the next thing we want to show you is the product list as it is, because some customers are interested in certain products or are interested in certain brands or certain things, and you can rearrange all the lists in your online store based on the data provided by Microsoft or the systems around your tool. I would also recommend you guys to collect the data from Google Analytics or Econda and stuff like that, and also put it into the Microsoft system to enhance this. Franziska over there can help you with that. Don't look like that. And you can also use this in the way to segment those products. So if anyone is only interested in sale products, or if anyone is only interested in certain things, we can all use this data, and all of your agencies can do that, and collect this data and give it back, so to show the right products at the right time. The shopping cart is also a thing. Lots of online stores miss out to upsell on your customers, and also there the existing customer base and the customer's behavior can help you to upsell on products that are already in the basket, or you can complete styles, or can complete the basket to reach a certain amount of money spent to give some kind of add-ons or stuff like that. We can also send the data of products that are already in the cart but are not bought into the Microsoft system, so that you can store it there and re-show the product later on. So that will enhance the customer's move to buy it in the end. Because sometimes people put products in the basket and then say, oh, it's too expensive for now, but perhaps I will buy it later on. If we collect that data and give it back into the system, and the system gives it back to us, we can leverage on that. And I would highly recommend you guys thinking about solutions like that, because if someone decides to put a product into his cart, he really has the intent to buy the product in the end. So the next thing is the customer account. Especially if you have the loyalty program in place, you can really leverage this part of the online store regarding you already bought those things. This is, for example, the shoe is already 2 years old. why not buy it again? Or with Mai here in the audience, I wear my underwear or briefs like every certain amount of time. I will rebuy the same product again because I'm a male buyer, so I always buy the same briefs, and I will buy them again and again and again, and so on. So try to leverage the data you collected already and you have in place with your customer's account, because if someone is already involved with you guys and already bought with you, bought things from you guys, he will tentatively buy again. So I really recommend going into that place. And another thing we talked about with Ola Popkan out there, shop the look is a really discussed topic out there. I think you have some kind of hero shots usually on your main page. I will always recommend you guys put shop the look into those perspectives. So on your catalog or on your main page, there's a shop the look, and you will always sell this look as a whole. In all the other segments, I usually tend to tell the people not to try to shop the look as it is, but try to find out what the customer likes to see there. So don't sell him the look, sell him the brands he likes to sell, but it should look like that. And you can anticipate this all based on data already provided from the online, from the ERP or tools out there, or your PIM. And you will have to find out what kind of customer it is and try to anticipate not the look, but the style he likes. And I talked with Snipes about that. With them, it's a real topic. They have really brand loyal customers, and so shop the look does not always fit there, because the customer tries to buy the brand and not the look your model team collected. So try to find the products that fit to your customer and not shop the look as it is. Things like social and social interaction will be key in the future, especially with the younger audience. So the data collected from the online store, from your mobile app, from any source out there, offline and online, needs also to be out there in social. So try to interact with personalized campaigns in the social environment your customers will be in the future. So try to get the acceptance from your customer to use and leverage this data. Try to find solutions, how you can reach your customer at a point he doesn't expect, and try to reconnect with him as often as possible, and try to save this data always again in the VI tool to re-leverage it on the website. And that was the fast version of the presentation I prepared. I hope that's okay for you guys, and I will hand over to Marija again.
Thanks. So I definitely lied. That was longer than 45.